On today's episode of Good Grief, we have my sister, Anna Kloots, and we get to talk about our family life. We talk about her divorce. We talk about how you can be at the bottom and reinvent your entire life and how she's done it multiple times. So as you know, I always start off every episode with a question from my community because I think it's so important that we help each other and we share our stories. So today's question is from Jo, and she asks, how do you find the positive when grief hits you? I think this is a perfect question for my sister Anna because she is a very positive person and always is looking at the glass half full. So I can't wait to hear what she has to say about this question. We get deep on this one, guys. I think you're really going to love it. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Anna Kloots, welcome to Good Grief.
Sister.
It's so fun to have you here, obviously.
It is so fun to be here. I love I've heard you talk about this project for so long. It's so exciting to see it becoming reality.
No, it's coming to life. We were just in Ohio together, which was so nice. It was Nick's 6th year anniversary of his passing. And the first anniversary that you, me, and Todd were back together again after that whole COVID living together situation, which I thought was so special. It was really
nice. So nice. That was, it's weird that we haven't all been together since, but it was,
I know.
I think the timing was perfect.
I know. Or even just like, I'm surprised I hadn't been with Todd because he's obviously in San Francisco, so close to me. It was interesting that we hadn't all been together that way.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was nice to be with you too, of course, and mom and dad, which was the group that was with me during COVID when everything happened with Nick. And so that was just, it was really nice to all be together. Do you think that because I was trying to think of mom and dad, what do you think that they did to teach us about grief? Or do you think that they did? You know what I mean? What did they do? What didn't they do? Because we're all a bit resilient, I think, in it. But we never really talked about grief. Like even after losing, grandma and grandpa's, you know what I mean? It wasn't talked about in our household.
Yeah, it wasn't. But it's kind of like how I feel anytime I'm trying to retrace how did mom and dad arrive at making us such close friends or giving us the confidence we have, or anytime I'm trying to solve a mom and dad puzzle, there was never a talk. There was never an exact, now we must talk to our kids about this subject.
I know.
It was truly, I think, just the way that they raised us as a family and the pillars that were important to them to instill in their children, which were obviously love and I think kindness and empathy for each other. And this don't give up on yourself, this, determination and hardworking, resiliency they put in us in that way. I think they were always giving us everything we needed to be able to go and form these tools we would ultimately need to get through our specific situations and our specific lives.
Yeah.
Because you can't sit down and teach a grief lesson.
No.
I mean,
no,
you
can't.
know that. So
no.
What you can do is hope that when someone is met with these challenges, they have the right support system and they have the right confidence in themselves and trust in themselves. And they've been brought up in a way that they know how to deal with hardship. And I think that's what mom and dad did.
Yeah. And maybe also, I mean, you kind of said it too, but just we were always encouraged to support one another, show up for one another's, activities, concerts, performances.
Yeah.
It was all or nothing. We all go together. And I think that is, in our own little way, our family community, showing up for each other.
It is. And, I noticed, I said this the other day in something I was writing, that we didn't grow up in a household where you weren't allowed to show your feelings. Showing your feelings was so okay in our home.
That's true.
You need to have
Led by mom.
you need to cry, you cry, and everybody's going to see you cry and it's okay. We were never taught that you couldn't feel extreme sadness or frustration or happiness or whatever it was and show that outwardly. And the older I get, the more I realize how rare that truly is.
Yeah.
And I think a huge part of going through grief for me is just feeling it, being okay to just sit in it and feeling it and show people how I'm feeling and not try to hide it and not try to be strong or try to just say, okay, it's time to get over this now. Like, I think giving us that, the ability to like show your feelings, it's okay, cry if you need to, your family is here for you.
Yeah.
That I think is key.
No, I think you're right. The permission to do so. I remember Leslie, Nick's mother, saying to me that she would sit around the dinner table with her family and they never would talk about anything emotional at all.
Yeah.
And they weren't encouraged to show their emotions, not even say like, I love you. Like, and yeah, our family is definitely the exact opposite.
Emotional downpour any day, any given day. You've got 4 girls in the house, an older brother. And I mean, it was just emotions like flags flying.
Yes.
So
our family is known for breakdowns. So we call it a breakdown. And mom could be having a breakdown.
I could be having a breakdown.
I
could be having a breakdown.
There's double breakdowns, sometimes triple breakdowns. I've never seen dad have a breakdown.
No, I think dad is just like this. Even my husband was asking me how home was when he knew I was having a hard day. And he was like, and how was your dad? And I was like, Freddie, just always like calm as a cucumber, patient. Strong,
I did.
Like, he holds
I don't
it all
know if
together.
you noticed this about Freddie this time around, but I felt like Freddie was really being Grandpa Kloots this trip. Did you notice that? Like really being, and I think he was doing this to help mom, but he was really like harping on the kids. Like I felt Grandpa Kloots used to do to us. And I wanted to be like, wow, Grandpa Kloots is really part of the party this holiday season. But it was funny to see him like take on this like Grandpa Kloots role. I thought for the first time.
Well, there were a good amount of were the nieces and nephews outnumbering us?
I don't know, Huddy.
Yeah. Tracy's 3 kids,
and Elvis.
We were outnumbered.
Wow. Yeah.
So Grandpa took over.
It was so funny. I kept seeing that, and then Elvis a couple of nights were like, Grandpa was yelled at me that I couldn't play soccer. And I was like, oh my God, this reminds me of like when we would go to dad and be like, Grandpa yelled at me.
I feel like most of my sentences started with Grandpa yelled at me for.
Grandpa's mean.
How funny.
So funny. Well, I mean, just we're lucky. And I know that too, sister. We definitely, as you get older, you realize we were really lucky to be raised the way we were raised. Do you remember, because I know you're Anna's 7 years younger than me, when Grandpa B, when Grandma Kloots, what do you remember from losing your grandparents? Because obviously that would have been the first time you experienced grief.
Yeah. Grandpa B, I don't remember. I was too little. I think I was 2.
You think you were 2. Yeah.
I remember Grandma Kloots passing away, but I don't remember much of it. I think as much as you're witnessing it, because I remember being there, but I remember not really fully understanding what this meant.
Yeah.
So I would say Grandma B and Grandpa Kloots. I was there with Grandpa Kloots.
Yeah. When he passed away?
We were all there. Me and Mom and Dad.
Really? In the nursing home?
Yeah. Uncle Hank, Aunt Ann, me and Mom and Dad were all there.
Like you saw him take his last breath?
Yeah, we were all around him. We all had our...
why do I not know that?
Maybe I did. I'm sure you did.
How did you guys know? Did the nursing home call you and say
they kept calling, and I mean, we knew Grandpa wasn't doing well, and they kept calling and saying, you might want to come down here now, or you might want to come down here now. So I don't remember what had sparked that exactly, but I remember we were all there.
Oh, wow. What were you guys doing? Do you remember? Was Grandpa like covered in his like rainbow blanket?
He was in his bed with all his blankets on him, and I remember we were all just saying a prayer around him.
Yeah. Oh, Grandpa Kloots.
But But that was hard. I remember because Grandpa was, I got quite close to Grandpa at the end. He
You
became
did.
like, he was always like scary when we were
Yeah, he
younger.
was scary.
I was always kind of
Yelling
afraid
at
of
us.
Grandpa Kloots.
Yep.
And then he went into that assisted living center and he got so
Silly.
funny, so
Funny.
silly and funny and sweet. I think like he didn't have to, be the policeman of all of us anymore.
Yeah, right. He was a policeman when he was a young.
So he was always
younger
very
man.
big on like rule enforcing and time and like all these
Picking
things
us up
that
for Sunday school.
you know 4 granddaughters were terrible
But
at.
you did. You would go with Daddy to visit him a lot because you were the
Yeah.
only kid home. So you
I
would go
go
visit him a lot.
And I mean, it was
Yeah.
right down the street.
Right.
And I used to hate thinking about him just being there by himself. So
I know.
I would always I would go home. I would go on my way home from school and stop and
Oh, I didn't know that.
we'd make cookies for Grandpa like once a week and
Yeah,
drop
I
him
remember.
off.
I
And
knew-
then
yeah.
we would learn he was sharing them with all the whole staff. So that's why he was going through his cookies so fast. But
He really was like, my granddaughter, Tracy, made these cookies.
yeah, I'm sure some of the details were hazy for sure. But
Aw.
that we knew we knew Grandpa was on his last couple, probably his last year at that point.
Yeah.
And I mean, he lived to 96, right? 96 or 7.
I think 97. No.
I mean, he had such a full, amazing life.
Yeah.
That I remember being there. I remember being very, very sad.
Mhm.
But then you also feel like a sense of peace when someone has lived such a life.
Yeah.
And at 96 or 7
Yeah.
is, peacefully drifts off with their whole family around them. Like it's
I
kind of
know, right? Oh, what a blessing.
beautiful,
Yeah.
a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I guess I'm just thinking like in retrospect, I wish, which of course is like not necessarily possible when you're 7 or 2 or, obviously, but like, you can't, knowing now what I know about grief, I guess what I'm saying is like, I didn't help mom and dad at all. Or maybe I did by just continuing on being a kid and then, and that helped them, find joy again. But, they lost their parents. Like imagine how we're going to feel when we lose our parents.
No,
it's going to be devastating for us. And so it's like, and it's just an interesting thing that you don't really think about until, like I said, we've had a lot of grief in our life. So I think about it now.
I felt so bad for mom and dad lately for all the what is the right word of the grief they've had to experience from us, what they take on from their kids.
Well, I think that's a very good topic that people don't talk about enough, but you're absolutely right. It's as a parent, the grief that you're feeling because your child is in grief and knowing that you can only do so much to help them.
You're sad about what they went through.
Yeah.
And then you're sad about the fact that it's your child and I can't help my child. It has to just be horrible.
I mean, mom says that to me all the time. She's like, anytime any one of you are sad, you don't even understand how sad I am that you're sad. And I get it now, of course, because I have Elvis, but I mean, but not to the degree of an adult. I'm sure when your adult daughter or son, is going through something, I can't imagine, what that feels like. I know.
No, and with 5, we've laid it on.
I know, they don't get a break.
They don't get a break. There's always one of us.
Especially between the two of us. Well, I want to time jump now to you living in New York City. And I'm there and Allison's there, our other sister. And you are married and traveling the world with your husband, your ex-husband now, and you get news from him that he wants a divorce. And I find you on the corner of the street that I live in a ball. And that wasn't when the divorce happened, but I think that when you get news like that, and you worked on that marriage for a full year before you guys finally decided to get a divorce. But that grief already sets in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, talk about that
Because there was
bit.
also that like hugely traumatic therapy session that then led to that reveal of I want a divorce.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Which
do you want to say that crazy therapy session?
I mean, there are times I still can't say this without like actually starting to cry because of like the trauma. And you know how it is, like to relive trauma.
Yeah.
But then there's times I can get through it
We've
being
got a box
like,
of tissues.
this in a way
prepared.
is kind of funny that I was taken to therapy.
I mean, it is kind of out of a movie. It would.
Session 1 on the premise of we will work on this marriage. We're 100% in. Let's do the work and start today. Only to be told in this therapy session that I was brought there under false pretenses. My ex-husband had already met with this therapist once on their own to discuss how to deliver this news in the next session, which I would be at, that divorce was wanted. There was no wanting to work on this relationship. And I learned that in a session after, the therapist opened with like, so who wants to start? and
he was like, me, I'll start.
I remember I was already so like emotional because, as I'm sure you know, walking into therapy, especially the first time ever, can be very, it can be very overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was going into the room already kind of like on the brink of tears, just because I was like, everything from like, how did this happen? How did we get here? To like, I'm so excited we're here, but also I'm nervous we're here. What's this person going to say? Am I going to like this? All this is running through your head. So I was already, like on the brink of tears. So I did like, why don't you start talking and I'll try to get it together.
Yeah.
And I'll join in when I can.
Yeah.
And yeah, then the talking was just a reveal of what was really going on. And that was like,
did you make it through that whole hour, or were you
trauma.
Did you get up?
No, I kind of lost my mind in the middle of that because I was like, it felt like a bad dream, honestly.
Well,
I was like,
too.
what's happening? When I learned that the therapist was in on it and knew what was going on, that's when I kind of like snapped because I was like, this isn't even
fair.
Okay, what's happening here? Right. And I got up and said, I'm happy to talk about this, but I'm talking to you at home. Like, I'm leaving this room. I'm going home. This is absurd.
Yeah.
And that's when he revealed he already had a bag packed and was leaving that night.
And taking you to my house, right?
And was happy to call you to come get me, or would be willing to drop me off at your house on the way.
Thank God he didn't give me a heads up. But like, I love that he just was like including
someone
me
else
in on the plan.
will handle it.
Which is, I mean, can you imagine if he told me the plan? Like, I'm going to take Anna to therapy. I need you to be available.
It was a very, very surreal, and horrible experience, and then which led me to getting out of a taxi cab and like collapsing in the street in front of your house.
But despite all of that, I'm right in saying you took you were like, we were married and we are married and we're going to try to work on this. And you did try to work on it for like a year.
Yeah,
right?
About a year after that we did.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm really glad that time happened and that work happened, because it really helped me realize that this was irreparable. Like, there was nothing that could be done. Yeah. It helped us talk through a bunch of things, but it also did like deep-seed this like deep-seated anxiety in me. Mm-hmm. Like, having lived through that experience to then go try to be a normal couple again, which you kind of have to do. I remember the therapist saying like, this is kind of what I would tell people who are recovering from infidelity. Like, you have to just decide if you can get over this and forgive, or you can't, and then you can't really move on. So I kind of was advised of like, just kind of put this behind you, which I tried very hard to do, but like, it was just,
You did, though, try very hard. I mean, I remember being like very like impressed by your just willingness to obviously not forget that, but just like be like,
well, I mean, listen, any relationship falling apart, it's never 100% one person's fault. So
right.
My brain and the way I am, I was like, I have to have answers here. If I'm going to accept that our marriage is over, that we've never really worked on and never really talked about, that doesn't make any sense to me. I would much rather try to work on this and see what comes up and what it brings up. And if it, really know that this can't be fixed or it can, before we just throw our hands up at the first sign of trouble.
Yeah.
So I was very grateful to get to do that work. And even though in the end, it kind of felt like, okay, could I have, did I just lose another year to this relationship? Not at all. That year was like crucial to me understanding so many things about myself and about everything. But like, to your point, like, yes, the trauma, the grief, the anxiety started there, and I couldn't get rid of it. And I couldn't talk to him about it. It felt kind of off limits. I could kind of talk about it in therapy, but it was a very hard thing to like have like weighing on me and be trying to fix this relationship, which at the same time, like, there was just this ball of anxiety, and I felt like I was on trial every day of my marriage.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
we're working on this, but like every day he's probably like judging everything I do. Right. Like, this was all in my head. Am I good enough today? Did I pass the test today? Is at the end of today, does he want to call it quits or not? Like, it was a really terrible thing to live with for
your nervous system couldn't regulate.
No, not at all.
Also, isn't that like, and I don't know if this is exactly how you were feeling, but even just what you just said, you were like, does he like me? Am I good enough? Was I a good wife today? It was like, in hearing you say that, it's just interesting that did you ever think like, is he right for me? Is he good enough for me? Because like what you just said, you were at that time in your life putting all the responsibility on you.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because he was the one that wanted to walk away. So that is how you felt.
Yeah, he was.
Which is not fair.
No, it's not fair. But, I think it's what you do. Someone wants to break up.
Yeah.
Which I remember being like, we can't break up. We're married.
I remember
but he wanted to break up. And so, of course, you're like, well, what's wrong with me that this person wants out?
Yeah, it doesn't love me anymore.
Yeah, of course, you're doing your own self-assessment of everything that could be wrong. And then it wasn't until about, a couple months into that year and into a good therapist who was different from co-conspirator therapist, that I started to ask, started to consider like, maybe I'm not the problem. Like, maybe actually, yes, are you able to do this? Are you able to do that? Are you, but like therapy was essential to that for me, because I was so willing to just kind of take all the blame and start fixing everything about myself that someone else wanted me to fix.
Yeah.
And that therapist was the first person who really was asking me the questions of like, do you really need to fix this? Is it healthy for you to fix this? Do you want to change this about yourself?
Yeah.
What does it really look like here? What are these changes you're making healthy? Are they reasonable? Are they, shouldn't someone else be making changes too? How willing are they to make these changes?
Yeah. Well, and that's also a very good point about just having the right therapist and finding and taking the time to find the right therapist,
which is harder than finding a partner.
It's so hard.
Truly.
It's so hard. I say it's a lot like, finding the right church. It's like you have to go to many before you find, you can walk into one and go, that's not for me. You can walk into a therapist and go, she's not for me. He's not for me.
It's a relationship like any other is in your life. And, when you're trusting someone's advice and what you really need is to just be able to tell someone everything.
Yeah.
Like, I remember saying in my book, like, she was the first person I ever gave every single puzzle piece to. I kept asking people to solve my problems, but only giving them half of the puzzle.
Yeah.
I would give some to you guys, but keep the pieces that I didn't want you to know because you wouldn't like my husband.
Yeah.
Same with my friends. But I didn't want them to know this because it was embarrassing. And it solved my puzzle, but you don't actually know what's going on. You don't have the whole picture.
Yep.
Finally, I had someone to give the entire puzzle to. And then she started asking the questions, are you happy living like this?
Yeah.
And no one else had ever asked me those questions because no one else actually knew everything. No one actually understood how sad I was.
And I told you in Ohio how there was a couple therapists that I saw after Nick died, and I would just lie to them. I would lie because I didn't want to give them the satisfaction of making me cry or going there. So I would purposely not tell them things or lie and then pay them $425 until I was like, what am I doing? But it wasn't the right relationship.
Wasn't
and then
the right,
I
or maybe
finally
it wasn't
found
the
one.
right time. You know, you don't know. I think
know.
it's such a hard thing because I think it can be so amazing. I mean, we both know that it can be like, I say repeatedly, that woman saved my life in so many ways.
She helped you find your voice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I understand, like, it could have been, I called, I think, 10 or 15 people and had like phone consults before I found her. You know, we went to the bad therapist once. Like, it isn't that easy.
No.
And so you kind of do have to go into it being like, I know this might take some searching. I might have some bad sessions where I walk out of there being like, I don't think I even want to do therapy.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a hard thing because you really have to be like committed to finding the right person and the right.
It's hard too on the extra layer of like you're going not because you're just like, oh, I want to like make sure I'm checking in with my mental health. Like at that point in time, you're already
It's
in
dire.
trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you're having
moment.
to like find a therapist over and over again, which is also hard because like each time you're retelling the story, it's like so exhausting. And so people will give up. And it's like, but when you don't give up and you do find.
But you might have been so close to a breakthrough.
Your life has changed.
Yeah.
We're going to fast forward a little bit, but you end up getting a divorce from your ex-husband. And, you know, a phoenix rising out of the ashes. I mean, you took control of your life. You found your voice. You moved yourself to Paris and took control of also a dream that you had had since you were a little girl to live in Paris. I mean, that is, I think a lot of people think that they could do that or wish that they could do that, just completely change their life when they're in massive trauma or grief. But you actually did it. And also, our family, who is a big support system to each other, I don't think any one of us was telling you should. Like mom wasn't.
No,
Mom. I wanted you. We were all helping you find apartments in New York City.
I know. Mom had found me an apartment in your building.
Yeah.
She was envisioning living out
we
I
were
Love
all
Lucy,
like, you shouldn't leave New York right now. You should stay here at least for a year.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, this is what I need to do. And you did it, which was, you know, amazingly brave and strong. I don't know how you feel about the word strong. A lot of people don't like the word, but like, what was, I don't know, what, a lot of people wouldn't have the courage to do it.
It's funny. I never felt like it was brave at the time. And people have said that since, and they say I could never be that brave or I could never do that. It didn't feel brave at the time. It just.
Does it now in retrospect when you look at it?
In now retrospect, yes, there are times where I'm like, I picked up my entire life and moved over here with 5 suitcases full of clothes and books, knew no one in the entire of France, and was just like, let's try this again. But
complete restart on life.
At the same time, in the moment, I genuinely felt like I've always been supposed to do this. I really felt that always in my gut.
Yeah.
It was this dream, but it was also like kind of rooted in reality. I had lived there for a bit. I had studied there. I had taken French since I was a kid. Like it felt like a dream, but like with within reach. It didn't seem unattainable. And it also felt like this is what I would have done if I never had gone down this other path. Like I wanted to graduate and find a way back to France and try to live there. Like, so it almost felt like I was actually rerouting to my true destination because I had gone off on a little bit of a detour that I wasn't
Do you
supposed
also
to take.
think, and I just thought of this, I've never thought of this before, Annie, but like, do you think that like, thanks to all your traveling that you did do with your ex-husband, it helped you maybe be brave enough to like just completely move to a different country?
No,
You know what I mean?
I mean, traveling maybe, but a lot of it was London. You know, right before I decided to move to Paris, right before I went to Paris, I kind of went on my own little like Eat, Pray, Love that summer.
Yeah.
That, you know, kind of happened by accident.
Yeah.
But I pieced together a little trip that started in London and then went to Italy and Portugal for a job. And then I ended in France. And when I was back in London, I was still like in the thick of sadness. But just trying to, you know, I remember that like I was still crying every day at that point, but I was like, I just want the day to come where I don't cry. Like, I just want one day where I don't burst into tears for some reason. I just want that day to come.
Yeah.
It's like that day feels like a breakthrough when you're going through it.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
So I just wanted one day where I wasn't sobbing. And I went and walked around London by myself. And I remembered like I moved here at 21 by myself. I moved there right out of college. Because I got an opportunity and I felt like I have to take this. What I know is I've always wanted to live abroad and here's like a paved road to do it. And I was back in London and I walked my old street and looked at my old apartment and kind of walked around and just remembered that year in which I built a life out of nothing. It was the same scenario, more or less. I moved there. I knew no one. I didn't have anything. I didn't know what I was doing.
That's so true.
It was
I've
slightly
never thought of
easier
that.
because I had a company figuring out the visa stuff for me. But I was walking around that time and I was like, what am I afraid of? I have done this before. I built myself a whole beautiful life here out of nothing.
Yeah, you didn't want to leave London when
I didn't want to go.
go.
My visa was up and I was like, I cried the whole plane ride home. I would have stayed there.
Yeah.
And so I realized like I can do it again. I'm older, wiser, smarter now. Like I can 100% do this again. What am I afraid of?
Yeah.
Where I felt like I know what's in New York. I've lived there for the last 10 years.
Right.
I know how I'm going to spend my time there. I know what's going to happen to me there. I know, you know, I know my friends. I know everything. And I wanted a complete change. And I felt like I'm supposed to do this. I've always known I have. So it didn't feel brave. It felt logical.
Like the next step. Yeah.
And it also kind of felt like, you know, I always say like the silver lining of being at rock bottom is like, you really don't think it could get worse. And I really kind of felt like I don't think it could get worse right now. Like New York is always here.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
No.
If I move over there and I'm really lonely and it's really feels worse than this, I can come home. But I don't see how I could feel worse than I do right now.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about when you are uncomfortable and when you've kind of chosen it is like you're so motivated to fix things then. You have to redo everything. You have to redesign everything. Everything becomes very intentional and you're very motivated. So, you know, I moved to London that time and I made myself a giant list of everything I was going to do that year because I didn't have any friends to just hang out with.
Yeah.
So I had to have a plan after work or else I knew I was going to come home and sit alone.
Yeah.
I had to have a plan for the weekends or I knew I wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah.
So I just made this like amazing list of fun things that I had to go do. And every weekend, every day I was discovering and inspired and like getting in touch with who I was and what interested me and what I loved and what I was passionate about, where like I wasn't doing that in New York. You know, in New York, you're in your pattern. You're, you know, what do you want to do tonight, honey? Okay, well, I'll just do whatever you want to do. Or maybe I would go up and have dinner with you guys and dad. But like, I wasn't sitting being like with an entire city at my disposal.
Yeah, what could I do?
What could potentially be interesting to me tonight?
What group could I join?
And it was part of the motivation for moving there. I wanted nothing around me to distract me from building this new life because I knew I so desperately needed it.
Yeah.
And I know if I stay here in New York, I'll be spending half a day with mom and dad because I want to spend my time that way. So I actually need to like remove every comfort from my life and start over.
Yeah.
And really figure out, what do I want things to look like?
Well, I think it's really good advice for anyone who is at rock bottom and thinking about, how could I completely change my life? It's like, yet it might be scary to do that, hit that restart button, do the big step. But like you said, it does force you outside your box to do things you wouldn't normally do. And and it is more inspiring to be in a brand new city, to get out of the house than stay in your own city and feel comfortable in your house and then end up being on the couch every day crying. Listen, whether you like to call it brave or not, it is and it was. And in true Anna form, and I think anyone in our family would say this, you made magic happen over there and you met a beautiful man. And you have the cutest dog in the entire world, and you oftentimes will, do posts on Instagram saying that, you used to dream of this life and now you're here living in Paris with this dream husband, because Anna just got married in December. So we're at like 6 months of marriage, new second marriage, and such a beautiful wedding we all got to be there for. And you have this life that you completely rebuilt from nothing. And like, what a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's funny that, I know you feel like this too about versions of your old life. Like, it almost feels like it didn't ever exist because it feels so far from the reality you live today.
Yeah.
And I know it's so easy to look back, especially a failed marriage, and just like only see the bad. But I truly look back and just think like it all got me here. Like it was, I don't know if I needed to go through those things or if I was, supposed to, whatever it is that you want to believe.
Yeah.
You don't wish any kind of hardship on anybody, but I wouldn't be where I was right now if that hadn't happened. You don't think you could have ever done it. If someone had said to you, this is going to happen to you in a couple of years, you're going to go, well, I'm screwed. I'm never going to survive that. There's no way I'm going to survive that.
Yeah.
And I used to, in my unhappiest bits of my marriage, think like, if this all fell apart, what would happen to me? And my visions were never good. They were never, oh, well, you'll move to Paris, I'm sure, and
well,
meet
we don't go there
a wonderful
when we're
man
sad.
who lives upstairs, and then you'll get your dream dog, and you'll write the books you've always wanted to write. And that whole, that was so not the vision I let play out in my head.
No.
But
well, we don't do that. We don't go to the...
We don't do that.
We emphasize the thoughts that are negative.
And
we don't think, flip to the positive and what it could be.
We go to like the worst. We don't look at all about what we're capable of doing or achieving, or what we're capable of on our own, or like how unstoppable could I be without all these things that are causing me daily sadness and holding me back. It feels more comfortable to just stay in what we have, even if it's super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But we don't know what we can go through until we have to go through it. I think that's one huge lesson I've learned in the last 6-7 years. Like, you think you don't have the stuff to get through it. And it's just like, you don't know who you are until it comes, and you have to figure out a way to get through the next day and the next day and the year. And
but also, I will say, in the spirit of this podcast and good grief, you weren't happy in your first marriage. And I think, that started your Instagram of Travel Outside the Box, which was your blog, right? It was a blog.
Yeah, it started as a blog.
It started as a blog, but correct me if I'm wrong, you started that because you were traveling a lot with your ex-husband and you didn't feel like you had a purpose.
I needed something of my own.
And you needed something of your own. And so it was almost like you felt this, you felt that grief of like, I've lost my identity in this marriage and I need to create something so that I feel like I have a purpose. So you create Travel Outside the Box, which was amazing. That turned into you becoming a travel influencer, which and now I'm fast forwarding to this time of your life where alongside of being an incredible writer, you also have this side hustle of being still a travel influencer, and you are one of the best travel influencers. I mean, I think I've never seen a better one. And I've witnessed.
Says my sister.
No, I'm serious. I'll be on trips with you, and the picture she takes of the lobby versus my picture, I'm like, that we were at the same lobby. I don't understand why does yours look like a Princess Fairy Tale lobby? Like, but it is a Princess Fairy Tale, but I don't know if your camera is special, how you see angles, or like even just, I'll never forget that day that you, me and Allie were walking around Paris, and you like stopped to take this picture of this man holding this big, like you see things that normal people don't see. Your eye catches things, which is why I think you're so great at influencing travel and what you do with showing people the world and the beauty in it in all parts of the world is so awesome. But you wouldn't have probably done that if you wouldn't have been in that first marriage.
I fully created that hoping for community and connection, and it came out of a place of sadness. A lot of I've realized when I feel sad.
It's when you create the best.
It's when things create. I end up, I guess a lot of people don't know what to do with that emotion. Like no one does. You feel this like overwhelming, sadness or, I remember that time I felt very like blocked. Like stuck. I felt like stuck. Like there's nothing I can do about this. This is the schedule I'm signed up for. This is the life I have chosen.
Yeah.
How do I find myself in it?
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I have to create it. It's not going to create itself.
Yeah.
I have to.
Which was
have to do
what
something.
Year? Because I think if anyone is a new follower to Anna, and you see her doing, the amazing things you do now for travel, it is because it's been 11 years.
11 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
A very slow build. And again, my therapist who, when everything was kind of falling apart and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. She was like, what about this project you have been working on and built and this whole community you've built? And said, you seem to really enjoy this. You talk about it like you enjoy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I still had so little actual like belief in my own self at that point from that whole marriage that like the thought of that being something that could just totally take care of me on its own, that like that could be my job and other things could spring from that and I could create out of that, but like that would be enough seemed unfathomable.
Wow.
And it was her who was like, you've been going knee deep. What if you really plunged in?
Yeah. And look what it's turned into. So beautiful. I mean, and it keeps giving, which is awesome. It is impressive. I mean, it's really, really impressive. And from your divorce, you wrote your book, My Own Magic, which is phenomenal. If no one's read it, if you're going through a divorce, it is such a great read. You hear Anna has a way of writing where you just hear her voice. Like no matter, you could be reading it to yourself, but you hear Anna's voice in your writing. And I loved your book so much. And another thing that I think you did, again, through grief, even after writing that book, it comes out, you're so excited. And then you realize your publisher really didn't put together a book tour. So instead of Anna being sad about it, which she was, and being like upset and angry about it, you were like, well, then I'm just going to create my own book tour. And you did, and had thousands of people show up. I mean, in Los Angeles, lines wrapped around Beverly Hills while you were at La Durée signing books and eating macaroons. And it was unbelievable.
Oh, that was a beautiful, that whole tour that I did after that, when my book came out, was such a beautiful, just whole experience, just such a beautiful show of
community.
Community. And we're you're building a community online, you don't get to interact with people on the regular. And I mean, and that ultimately inspired the meetups I have in Paris now,
Yeah.
because I just realized like, boy, you can call together a group of ladies, and a pretty awesome group of ladies turns out.
Yeah.
And so, you know, in a city where like Paris, where, you know, connection can be hard when you're an expat, there's a lot of coming and going, and the friends you have might suddenly leave. And that's what happened to me last February. My
Yep.
best friend for 5 years left.
Yep.
And I realized, if people came together like this for a book event, what if we could just get people together like this through a Valentine's Day party?
It's so beautiful now that in Paris, what she's talking about is you started these meetups, and once a month you pick a place and you just put it online, and you're like, if you're an expat here, if you need a friend, here's where we
genuinely
are.
Just if you're looking for friendship.
And the women that are showing up, I'm amazed every month when you post these. It's insane.
No, it's beautiful. It's an amazing group of people.
It's really, really,
and from everywhere.
Gosh, it's really cool, Annie. It's really, really cool, and I think it's really special that you do that, and you know, that's important.
But that came out of sadness. That came out of my best friend is leaving.
Yeah.
Literally, like I joked with Adrian, my friend. I was like, I'm taking this harder than my divorce. Like, this is it really was horrible.
Yeah.
To like lose your.
I mean, I don't want you to keep being sad, but you really do create beautiful things in your sadness.
I think the more time you sit and you wrestle with those thoughts, that's energy, and it has to go somewhere. So it comes out in writing, or it forces you to take a walk, or it forces you to say, I need to do something with this. I need to create something.
Yeah.
Where when you're just flying high, you're just like,
I'm
good. I'm up for anything.
I will say though, I just learned from a brain doctor that I went to, who's amazing. And he said one of the best things you can do when you are grieving or in trauma is write. And we found that very cathartic when we wrote Live Your Life. And I think you also found that, of course, when you wrote My Own Magic. And it is, and you know, you have always been a writer, like writing in your journals and everything. I was not. That was honestly the first time I wrote anything, pretty much, other than like, you know, I have to write an essay for school. But like, wow, writing has changed my life, and it's definitely a great tool for anyone who needs help in their grief. Just write it down, write down your thoughts. It doesn't have to be a published novel one day. Just write it down. Get it out of your head.
That's exactly what I just wrote an article on, like, what tools have helped me and then what things haven't. I think that's equally as important.
Yeah.
Like, what doesn't work. But everyone's different.
Right.
But writing, there's so often times I actually don't know how I feel about something until I sit down and start writing. And I'm surprised what comes out. Like, I didn't even fully understand I felt like that, or didn't know that was deep down there, buried somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's so important to do it, and to not care, to not be trying to write the next Pulitzer winning novel.
Yeah.
Write it knowing no one is going to see this. This is just for me.
Yeah.
And there's times I'm writing, I'm dictating on my phone as I'm walking, because I don't actually can't sit with a pen and paper. But when a thought arises, like, to be able to work it out that way rather than just in your head, I find so much more helpful. And I've found helpful no matter what I'm going through, I found writing consistently helpful. Where other things I've realized, like, this tool doesn't work in this case, actually. Like, I need a new tool for this. This that I thought was like working hard, right?
Yeah.
Like, pouring yourself into work is something that so usually works for me when I am sad.
Yeah.
Have a project, go all into it. And like, this last time I couldn't do that. I couldn't open an email. I couldn't type a word. Like, I didn't want to work on anything.
Yeah.
And I found so often, like I said to Tracy, it's like, I don't understand. I felt like I would be more prepared. Like, I have these tools. Why are none of my tools the right fit for this job. Like,
Yeah.
I can't fix myself with these. I don't know what's happening. And it was frustrating because I felt like I'm no stranger to this. I shouldn't be so ill prepared.
Yeah.
So it was making me harder on myself. And Tracy said, like, you
Tracy's our other
are
sister.
our oldest sister. There's so many of us.
Our oldest, wisest sister.
And she said, she said, you need new tools this time. She said,
Yeah.
I bet some of your tools will work, but not all of them. You're going to have to learn new tools.
That is perfect advice from Tracy, and advice that I have also been told, that it doesn't work, that grief doesn't work that way, which is really shitty.
It is unfair.
It should be like, I've done this before. Here we go again.
Exactly.
And it's not.
But no, I felt like, I said this time, I said, to Tracy, I said, I felt like I have met an entire new face of this. Like, I don't even know what I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
And so I was ready to be like, okay, here we are. You're back. All right, great. Like,
yeah.
I can do this. And some of those things just fail. And you're like, okay, no, we need new tools.
Well, and you're talking about your recent miscarriage. I know because I'm your sister, and you've been very open about it on your Instagram, and how hard it's been on you. And I as many women I have known as have gone through a miscarriage, you even shined a light on it for me, being like, oh yeah, well, saying it's common is not helpful, guys. And
No,
like,
it's so weirdly unhelpful.
It's so unhelpful. And not that I ever said that out loud to anybody, because I've never had a miscarriage. So I but like in your head, you might think that, but so unhelpful thing to say to someone that has just lost a pregnancy.
Yeah. There's never, people always say there aren't right words. And it's also like, it's specific to you. Like, maybe just to some people that would be comforting, but it's funny. You can start to hear that, or I started to hear that as like, okay, this is so common that, your pain is ordinary, basically. Like, what you're feeling is ordinary. This shouldn't be bothering you as much as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what they're saying, but that's what it can sound like or feel like.
Yeah.
Same with people being like, you can try again. Like, this is an uplifting, optimistic, enthusiastic, hope-bringing phrase. Of course, this is a good thing.
Right.
But you hear it and you're like, I know.
Yeah.
It's not what I'm sad about, though. I'm not sad that I've lost hope of trying again. I know I can try again. What I'm sad about is the child I just lost.
Good point, though, Annie, because to your point, when I lost Nick, nobody said right away to me, you get to try again, though.
Exactly.
You would never say that to a widow.
No.
Why are people saying that to a mother that just lost her pregnancy?
It's so common about, I'm going through a divorce.
Yeah.
So common.
It's so common. 1 out of 3.
Exactly. Like, it's a very, I found it a very weird, a very like, not weird type of grief, but for lack of a better word, like a weird type of grief, because it felt either like very easily dismissed or just not talked about at all.
Or that you were just supposed to be okay.
There's also this like, as always exists, this timeline other people are proposing on you as to how long it's okay to be sad about this.
Yeah.
And everyone has their own idea of what that is, which is so, I think the most bizarre of all the like outer grief noise there is to me is that anyone believes there's a timeline of, okay, here's what happened to you, and here's approximately for how long you should be sad before it's time to get over it, put it in the past, whatever it is, focus on the good.
Yeah.
You're doing all of these things, but, I told one person, I'm never going to get over this. I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
This is someone that I loved.
Yeah.
If that doesn't make sense to you, fine. But to my husband and I, this was a very real person that we already loved and named and imagined a future with and talked about. I had a very detailed 12 weeks pregnancy journal. Like, I'm not trying to forget this. That's not my goal. I don't want to.
Yeah.
So to say like, you should move on already. Think, you can try again.
Has somebody said you should move on
Oh,
already?
so many people. But I mean, Instagram, like so many people, you're like, you've got everything out there. And I always say like the biggest, best chunk is just amazing, supportive people.
Yeah.
So it has the little like flyer.
The Karens here and there.
The flyer comments or the troll comments, you're like, okay. When you see it, you're not deranged by, the greater purpose of Instagram is good. I truly believe like the good I've taken away in the connections. And like this was a weird time where like I didn't have our family to lean on.
Yeah.
I didn't even really have friends of mine to lean on. Like the typical support system you have, is like, if no one has been through that thing. I was so grateful to have you when I was going through a divorce, because some of my friends had been through a divorce. No one was even married.
Right.
I was the only one.
Yeah. I didn't have anybody when I was going through a divorce. Yeah.
No one can begin to understand how you feel because they don't really understand what you've lost.
Yeah.
And I definitely felt like that about this. Like people's ability to understand what you've lost and what you're actually sad about was very, very highly dependent on they have also been through this and they really get it.
Well, and then that's where community is really special because, again, it's like, I know this pain. I understand this pain. I get it. And that means a lot because those people know what to say.
Oh,
I also just thought of this too, Annie, like because you were in Paris and you didn't have, your family close by. This was this was like the first big like marital challenge for you and your husband.
Yeah.
That really like, was a huge thing to process together, show up for one another, to it's a big deal. And it was the first like big future moment. Going through grief with your partner is hard.
And I understand why it could be like crippling to a relationship, because if you process things differently, if you deal differently, if you're not on, when you're going through that, like there's things you need and things you don't need, things that help and things that don't. It can change day to day.
Yeah.
It's so unexplained. So to have that grief shared with someone who's really the only other person who kind of understands the depth of how you feel.
Yeah.
And then to not be going, like to not feel like, okay, I'm seen, I'm heard, I'm understood. I could completely see why that could be so hard and challenging. So I felt so lucky. I don't even know how, I mean, I wouldn't have gotten through any of that without him being as wonderful as he was.
Yeah. And what a beautiful sign that, not that you ever didn't believe that he was the right one, but like what a beautiful sign to be like, wow, I really I found my guy and I found my person.
I wrote in his birthday, his birthday was in June, and I wrote in his birthday card like, well, we vowed for better or worse, and we were tested on that real fast.
Yeah.
But it is, when you think about like, could I have gone through something this difficult with another person? And you're like, well, absolutely not. That would have like, how would I be going through this?
Yeah.
So when you really have someone who you've truly got each other was really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has helped you through these last, what has it been? A month almost?
It's been about a month and a half. Yeah. I mean, with words, like people really just saying like, I'm sorry you lost your baby. Like there's never right words, but acknowledgement. Any words of acknowledgement are what is helpful. And that was a big lesson even for me, because sometimes you never know what to say to someone, and you don't when they've been through something awful. And I've learned just acknowledging the heartbreak alone, like to just say, I'm so sorry for the heartbreak you're feeling. Like I understand.
And acknowledging, I love that, because it's acknowledging that, yes, there was a baby growing inside of me. It wasn't physically here yet in, that you could hold, but I was holding it. It
Yeah.
was me inside of me. And thank you for acknowledging that I lost my baby. I think that's really important, strong words to say.
It is
good, helpful hint.
It just felt, versus like something else that just feels like it's telling you, this happens to everyone. Writing and walking a ton. I was walking everywhere, but walking helps my brain like process what's going on. And then
You
to
were
sit
walking a lot.
and write it was very helpful. I just wrote a big list of these. Not trying to gaslight my own grief, because that started to come into my mind of like everything from, this could be so much worse. You're not allowed to be sad about this for this long. Like, don't be sad about this. Wondering if I'm overreacting, if I should still be crying every day. It's so hard to not do that to yourself.
Yeah.
But that's so unhealthy for you to do to yourself, to try to be like minimizing your own pain and suppressing your own emotions.
Yeah,
like,
great point.
There was a day that I just kind of was like really, really sad and low. And I just kind of had to sit. And a friend of mine who also lost a baby very close to term just said to me, sometimes you just need to sit uncomfortably with it. So you just need to sit. And I just kind of felt like that was me being like, okay, I know you're here. Sit down. Let's get to know you. Like, you're here to stay. Cause that's the other thing. Like, it's not fast. Grief doesn't pop in. It doesn't, swing by for a quick hello and then it's on its way. Like, it is there. It unpacks its bags and it is with you.
Yeah.
And some days it's with you more than others. And some days you might not even notice it. And then other days you're like, boy, would you just go away? Like,
yeah.
When are you going to leave?
No, that's why I say it's a roommate, because it's like, you just have to learn to live with it.
Yeah.
And some days you do get really annoyed and you're like, can you just get out of the house and go somewhere for an hour? And then other days you're like laughing with it in the kitchen while you're cooking. It's just a beast. It's a beast.
As much as that was awful, I had like 2 or 3 really awful days just stuck getting to know this new grief. And then I came out of it like, okay, at least I get a feel for you now.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be here. At least I know what this is like, because I thought I was going to know. They didn't know. It was like a really bad first date.
Yeah, where you're just stuck. The waiter's not bringing the check. You're just sitting at dinner and the food's bad, the date's bad, it's all bad. And you're just like, get me out
And
of
it's
here.
funny, even because I wouldn't have even necessarily given anyone that advice ever about going through hard things.
You wouldn't
I would have never been like, you know what you need to do? You just need to sit inside. Don't talk to anybody. Don't exercise and just cry.
No, we definitely would not have.
So it was very weird to me that I had to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I was actually forced to.
Yeah.
And it did help.
I will say, though, this is why every grief is different and you learn different tools every time you go through different griefs, and you just learned another one. And, it's a school we don't want to have to go to. You're like, I don't want to go to grief school, but you're going, and, and you learn different things in different classes.
And you just have to hope that one day I'm going to be glad I know this.
One day you graduate. Do we get to graduate?
I'm always just like, I guess
we're not trying to be the doctorate here in grief. I mean, come on.
I hope I'll use this info one day.
Annie, I poll my audience and I ask them to give me a question that is bothering them that me and my guest can answer. So I have a question from Jo, and she asks, how do you find the positives when grief hits you?
I mean, you have to just look really hard for them. They're there, and it becomes the small things.
Yeah.
And you have to search for them like aggressively.
Yeah.
But the small things you realize aren't as small when they suddenly are the things that light you up.
Yeah, that's a good
And it
point.
has the ability to do that. It, I always said going through my divorce that like it felt like you're in a dark room when you're first in grief. You can't see anything. Everything is just dark and you're just consumed by it.
Yeah.
And then there's a moment when the lights come on and it's blinding, the light. Like you almost can't look at it because it's so bright.
Yeah.
And then your eyes adjust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once
you
you've
kind of
had
go
a
like
second,
this.
then your eyes adjust.
Rub your eye. Yeah.
And so I always say anytime I'm going through something sad, those little first positives are that blinding light. A sunny day, a friend stopping by with groceries like my best friend did. Even just the ability to call your mom because you still have your mom and you love your mom.
Yeah.
That's a huge positive.
Yeah.
That light blinds you. Don't let your eyes adjust when life goes back to normal.
Oh.
And that's how I feel like we live in this, like when people say, why are you so joyful? Why are you so happy all the time? If you let all those little moments be this blinding joy that your eyes have never adjusted to how great that moment is.
Yeah.
You're in a constant state of happiness for what those are. You're still going to feel the sadness. It's still there.
Yeah.
But at least you recognize the true greatness and beauty of all those little things, all those little blessings that add up to be this huge blinding light.
I mean, that was such a great answer. I don't even know if I can answer it also because because she's asking like, how do you find? And I think that like your answer was so perfect to that. My answer was going to be more of like what you can do. And that was just like when I lost Nick, my mission every day was just to do one thing that day to make me happy. So, and I knew like whether it lasted me a minute, or 10 minutes or an hour, my mission every day was just to do something that I knew would bring me joy. But it wasn't, she asks, how did you find? So I like your answer. I think maybe they can work in tandem, but like I did something to help me find it.
You created it.
I created it.
Ensured there was a moment of joy in your day.
And sometimes it was literally just the moment, but
that's okay.
But
even
it was
if it's
my
sometimes
moment.
just I'm ordering a scoop of my favorite ice cream. It can
joy.
be that small.
It can be that small.
It's that advice.
I'm going to Dairy Queen and I'm getting an ice cream. Yeah.
It's definitely, I think they work in tandem. Find the little beautiful things, but then also create that positivity for yourself. You can't count on it to just arrive.
Right.
Create those moments.
Then last thing, I ask everyone, what is your good grief moment? What has grief taught you that can be good?
That you can completely start over and just, we think it's not possible to reinvent our lives completely and go for our dreams. But sometimes, grief knocks you down and it forces you to rebuild. And in that rebuilding, you get to build the life that you didn't dream was possible. I mean, it's pretty hard to not look at everything through that lens of like, look at a knockdown as a possibility.
Yeah.
It's a huge way to get through it. And what can I create? What can I build? Who can I become as a result of this?
Yeah. How can I rise?
It's like you've got to choose that path because the other path isn't good. So
I don't know why you'd want to stay down.
You either choose to stay down and let it,
Yeah.
It's going to change you one way or another.
It will.
I said this to Stephen.
Yeah.
That no one comes out of grief the same person. You don't get to be who you once were.
Yeah. Even if you stay hidden under a rock, you're changed by being the person that's under the rock.
So whether you like it or not, you're going through it and you're not going to come out the same person you were. So you choose, do I evolve? Am I going to use this as an opportunity or am I going to let this get the best of me?
Yep. Love you, sister.
Love you too.
Thanks for coming on the pod.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Anna. It's so lovely to be able to sit down and chat with her. We've been through a lot of grief together, and it's so special to have this time to just sit with her and talk with her because she lives in Paris, so I don't get to see her too much. But I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you took away something from that episode because there were so many different layers of grief in there, and we can all learn how to support each other And Anna truly has taught me on how to support people now in a different way as well. So I hope you enjoyed that episode, and stay tuned for next week, another new episode of Good Grief.